Hey everyone, welcome to Anita's Joint, hashtag extendAJoint. Every day is Payday, baby, and you're tuned in to another reading session with your girl, Anita Flying High. We are diving in. We are reading the book Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus. We are on chat by Zachary K. Hubbard. Excuse me. Shout out to Zach. You can find his channel on Gematria FX News 22 and Gematria FX Sports. We're reading chapter 12 today, and I forgot. I gotta put my moonstone crystal on real quick. Okay. All right, we good. We back. Okay, so we're gonna be reading chapter 12. Go ahead and make that screen. Hope everyone's been doing well. Doing you. All right. Let's go. Turn off that light. Sorry. Okay. So chapter 12, Tom Hanks and the use of celebrity to sell the pandemic. All right. On March 11th, 2020, the same day the World Health Organization declared a coronavirus pandemic, it was reported that Tom Hanks and his wife, Rita Wilson, who both starred in Sleepless in Seattle, the one set in the 19th city that had contracted COVID-19, while filming a movie about Elvis Presley, of all people, in Australia. On the subject of 19, I'd say it's a coincidence. The Elvis channel is number 19 on Sirius XM. If not for the fact that Elvis sums to 67 with simple English and Elvis Presley sums to 67 with reverse Pythagorean, the latter equating to 67 in the same way as Rita Wilson. Again, 67 is the 19th prime number, and Wuhan also equates to 67 with simple English. Making matters all the more interesting, the polio vaccine that Elvis eventually received first debuted in March of 1953, 67 years prior to March of 2020, the coronavirus pandemic start. The same numerical ritual factored into the April 24th, 2020 story of Tom Hanks donating his Corona typewriter to an 8-year-old girl named Corona de Virus. What? In Australia, who had reportedly been bullied because of his first name during the time of the pandemic, a name summoning to 67 with Pythagorean Gematria. At the same time, the boy's name equating to 77 with reverse Pythagorean. And the news came a span of 77 days from Tom Hanks' upcoming July 9th birthday, reminding us of the year Elvis died, 1977. And on the subject of Sirius XM, let us not forget that they made Channel 121 the coronavirus channel on March 6, 2020, corresponding with the date of the first coronavirus confirmation in the U.S., January 21st, 2020, or 1/21, as well as the Gematria of coronavirus outbreaks. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, World Health Organization, and Johns Hopkins University, the latter summoning to 121 and 113, similar to March 11th or 11/3, the pandemic date. As for the Australia detail, it is noteworthy because it sums to 102 in simple English, the same as Wuhan, China, considered on March 11th, 1918, 102 years later. Spanish flu had been confirmed at Fort Riley in Kansas, a state summoning to 65 with simple English, the same as pandemic. At the start of the Spanish flu pandemic, not to be confused with coronavirus, where corona is a Spanish word. It was reported that Spanish flu originated out of World War I, and World War is a name equating to 102 with reverse simple. It is a number that reminds us of Art of War, summoning to 102 with simple English, the military strategy book by Sun Tzu that was translated by a Jesuit in France in 1772. And again, look at his name, Sun Tzu. The Sun, the Jesuits. Keep in mind, World War I began in 1914, 142 years later. And Jesuit, World War, and War all equate to 42, whereas 42 equates to 142. It also reminds us that America's Civil War began April 12, 1861, the 102nd day of the year, and that the 9/11 attacks lasted 102 minutes. And on the same day of the attacks, Donald Trump referred his insurance firm on the 102 story, or the 102nd story of the World Trade Center. Keep in mind, 9/11 was a giant ritual centered on the number 33, and the word magic equates to 33 with simple English, as well as 102 with reverse simple. And don't get me started on how George Perry Floyd sums to 102 with Pythagorean, whose death ignited a movement that brought down Civil War statues in the U.S. and related historical statues and monuments across the nation, and even the world, after being sparked by rioting on East 33rd Street in Minneapolis. The 102 in his name mattered in this case because the history of slavery is what undermined the destruction, a word summoning to 102 and 42. Adding to the list, the term social distancing sums to 102 with reverse Pythagorean. And Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson became spokespeople for the term, reminding their social media followers numerous times to obey social distancing guidelines and to stand 6 feet apart for the sake of our health, as if being driven apart is healthy. For a moment, imagine if a series of people were standing in line 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, with the legacy of HR 6666 contract tracing them, so as to observe if social distancing guidelines are being followed. While you ponder that, Please know that Australia was the first nation to erect a shrine to Elvis Presley, the rock star, even though he never traveled there. On the date of November 26, 1977, exactly 102 days after his August 16 death. And for the last 102, Tom Hanks hosted Saturday Night Live, April 11th, 2020, from his own home in a special coronavirus podcast on the 102nd day of the year. And further adding to the list of Jesuit fingerprints, Fort Riley, a theorized outbreak point of Spanish flu, is a name summoning to 54 and 153, the same as Jesuit order. In light of in light of Hanks and his wife being born in 1956, the year of Elvis Presley's vaccination on television, it is interesting to note that Tom Hanks once starred in Forrest Gump, whereas a young boy with polio, hampered by consequential leg braces, he taught Elvis his knee-shaking dance move. If if you if you can believe it, the actor chosen to play the brief role of Elvis in the film was Peter Dobson. Dobson, having a name summoning to 56 with reverse Pythagorean, similar to how coronavirus equates to 56. In, in light of Robert Simkis summoning to 70, also like coronavirus, being the director of Forrest Gump, a man known for encoding numerical riddles in his films, often full of predictive programming. I doubt this fact about Gematria of Peter Dobson is coincidental, especially since 56 was Elvis Presley's breakout year. If you're not familiar with the work of Zemeckis, he did the Back to the Future series that shed light on coming events ranging from September 11th, 2001 to the Chicago Cubs 2016 World Series when they ended the 108-year drought, not unlike the 108 double stitches on a baseball, or the fact that Major League sums to 108 with simple English. Or that the tallest building in Chicago, the Sears Towers, is 108 stories tall. And for the record, we had it nailed in spring training while the Chicago Cubs would end the 108-year drought in Game 7 of the 112th World Series on November 2nd, 2016. Emphasis on 11/2, not unlike 112. It was because using simple English, mathematics equates to 102. Mathematics equates to 112, and gematria equates to 102. Not unlike Major League also summoning to 1. Uh, oh, oh, oh. It is because using simple English mathematics equates to 112 and gematria equates to 108. Not unlike Major League, also summoning to 108. And when you think about how the tall the and think about how tall the tallest building is in Chicago, 108 stories. Think builders, think measurements, and think masons, ancestors of Jesuits. And further think about how the Jesuits being recognized by Rome in 1540 to the establishment of modern Freemasonry in London, England in 1717 was 177 years later. As you know, the Jesuit order equates to 177, and so does New World Order. With that in mind, think of the very political Hollywood family, the Kennedys, where JFK was killed 177 days after his birthday. What's up, Esoteric? Shout out to the Soul Group. Hope you're well, fam. I'm really hoping to enjoy this shout out to the Soul Group. I'm really hoping to enjoy this chapter. Hopefully, it can shed some more light. Because we already know a lot of football players told us that they had it, and I was really upset about that shit. I was pretty pissed off. But anyways. On the subject of Major League Baseball, to go on another brief tangent, you should know that it equates to 162 with a simple English, similar to how baseball sums to 162 with reverse simple, matching the 162 games season in a non-coronavirus year. In a oh shit, in a my bad. It is a fun stat to share with enthusiasts of the sport. And as for Hollywood, think about the film series Major League, focused on the Cleveland Indians, made by Hollywood, a Jesuit enterprise, because that is what we did months in advance, calling why the Cubs would beat the Cleveland Indians in the Game 7 in a Major League tribute. Of course, Cleveland is the 216 area code, and the 108 double stitches on the baseball are also 216 individual stitches. Oh, you said awesome, creating a painting. Y'all check out Esoteric Cloud Surfer's page. You trying to get some paintings? Shout out to him. Nice paintings. I'm doing well. Thank you, fam, for the good energy. Moving on, in the same way, I don't think Peter Dobson was chosen for the part of Elvis by accident. I also assume it was intentional that the film Forrest Gump that Tom Hanks starred in is 2 hours and 22 minutes in length, similar to Wuhan coronavirus equating to 222. Furthermore, 2 hours and 22 minutes is the same as 142 minutes, corresponding with coronavirus summoning to 142, adding to the riddle. Forrest Gump released July 6th, the 187th day of the year, a big number with the Society of Jesus, and in 1994, emphasis on the 94, a relevant number because coronavirus pandemic sums to 94 in Pythagorean, a number we learned a great deal about while discussing Bill Gates, his marriage, his father, and the loss of his mother in 1994, years before his decade of vaccines that began on his 94th day of being 54 years old. Another film, Zemeckis and Hanks collaborated on was Castaway, and it also factored into the details surrounding Tom Hanks after his coronavirus diagnosis. This is because on March 18th, 2020, 1 week after the pandemic was declared, which was the same day Tom Hanks had been invited, uh, which is the same day Tom Hanks had been named as the first sick celebrity with the virus. LeBron James went viral for sharing a video of himself in isolation due to coronavirus, capturing it saying he looked like Tom Hanks in the film Castaway, a film about a man trapped on an island who grows very long hair and a very long beard to match, similar to the beard and hair that comes about with Tom Hanks' character in Forrest Gump when shit happens. Such as now, 26 years later, after the film's '94 release, the big year for for Bill and Melinda, with now being 2020, the time the virus has struck from China, at least so we're told, that it is being used to change life as we know it in record time. And for one more reminder, both virus and China sums to 26. I should also note LeBron James' social media post on the subject was the 78th day of the year. And as we learned, Wuhan coronavirus sums to 78 with Pythagorean Gematria, the same as Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, the full name of the actor Tom Hanks. For another, Cleveland subs to 78 with simple English. Consider LeBron's hometown. If you haven't seen the film Castaway, it is particularly set in Memphis, the home of Elvis, as well as FedEx, the latter being the company Hanks' character works for in the film. It also scored with Elvis Presley music. The next time you watch it, you'll likely snicker when you hear Hank's character complain in the opening dialogue that it took too long for his package to get from Memphis to Russia, taking 87 hours. The reason this is laughable is because Russia sums to 87 with simple English. Another thing is considering is that number of the beast sums to 87 with reverse Pythagorean, and beast and time equate with simple English. At the same time, the Catholic Church equates to 87 with reverse Pythagorean, and we will learn much about this number when we further analyze Naya Rivera's July 8th death on the date that can be written 8/7, and a woman born in 1987. On the subject of 87, consider when Donald Trump signed off on trillions in international banker loans with his big devilish grin on his face. On March 27th, 2020, it was the 87th day of the year, of course. Trump and Beast equate to 47, meaning he is part of the Beast system, not the Beast himself. Also noteworthy, it it's is that also noteworthy is that Castaway sums to 93 with simple English gematria. As you have learned, this is a number related to time, connecting the Sun and Saturn. And if you watch the film, you won't miss the joke because everything in the film is about time, a point that is made abundantly clear through dialogue, and especially since the object that motivates him to stay alive while he is alone on the island for many years is a watch to keep the time given to him by his fiancée. For another, 93, you must decode the full name of the actor with reverse Pythagorean, Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, because it also sums to 93, in the same way as Wuhan coronavirus, reminding us that the 93 World Trade Center bombings and the eventual demise of the towers that came exactly 93 weeks after the World Trade Organization protests began in Seattle, Washington on November 30th, 1999, a date that can be written 11/30, similar to the simple English gematria of protest, equating to 113. All right. Oh, it was in the year 1993 that Tom Hanks starred with Rita Wilson in Sleepless in Seattle, a movie that concludes in New York, not far from the World Trade Centers, bringing Seattle and New York together yet again. And to think the NFL's Jamal Adams wasn't even born yet. Oh, and to think NFL's Jamal Adams wasn't even born then, having been born October 17th, 1995. And in 2020, on July 26th, the date New York joined the United States in 1788, the New York Jets traded Jamal Adams, number 33, to the Seattle Seahawks. A serious inside joke. And not to spoil the sequel to Sleepless in Seattle, titled You Got Mail, but when Tom Hanks and the love interest but when Tom Hanks and the love interest meet, you won't miss the 201 behind them, a number that is clearly placed in the shot. As for the first film, if you haven't seen Sleepless in Seattle, it begins in Chicago with the funeral of his wife. With the funeral of the wife of Tom Hanks' character, who had died from an unspecified illness. From there, he departs to Seattle for a change of scenery. What is interesting about this is, per the official narrative, the first case of coronavirus in the United States was confirmed in Seattle, and the second was in Chicago, the latter city being the one the New York Times focused on regarding the Klinsmann contagion simulation. Keep in mind, both of these cities have their 56th mayor at the time of the outbreak, Jenny Durkin in Seattle and Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. And as a reminder, Seattle equates with COVID-19 and Chicago equates with virus. Also interesting, in the opening minutes of the film, you are introduced to the love interest of Tom Hanks, who is located in Baltimore, the home of Johns Hopkins University, and not by chance, the university is referred almost as soon as the film begins. Of course, it is Johns Hopkins that conducted and participated in the Clodex and Event 201 simulations, and is now the same university keeping track of the coronavirus cases and deaths worldwide. And it is their statistics that are being reported in the mainstream media as facts, when in truth they are merely numbers. In truth, they are merely number games with great consequences for many people that need exposing. As for Hank's love interest in the film, it is played by the actress Meg Ryan. And on March 11th, the date of the pandemic was declared, and the date Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson were reported to have been diagnosed, it was precisely 113 days after Meg Ryan's 58th birthday. celebrated on November 19th, 2019. As a reminder, coronavirus pandemic equates to 113. Beyond that, her birthday can be written 19 or 19 slash 11, November 19th, like 1911. You might recall when the Dow Jones fell 1,911 points on February 24th and 25th of 2020, concluding on the 56th day of the year. For your learning, the number 1911 corresponds with the Jewish Gematria of ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, where Scottish alone sums to 113 with simple English, equally as important to 1910 and 1911. A pandemic reportedly occurred in Manchuria, equating to 56 and 155, the same as coronavirus and Freemasons, that led to the start of the formation of the World Health Organization. Keep in mind, Manchuria is modern-day China. Furthermore, Manchuria equates to 43, the same as pandemic and Freemason. And adding to the riddle, the Great Manchuria Plague, as the virus was called in 1911 or 1911, equals 113 with Pythagorean Gematria, reminding us of how what we've learned about Rockefeller Foundation, 113, and their history in vaccines, along with Walter Reed and his retired 113-acre campus. And it's Zach was on. They were live last night with another guy. He was, of course, breaking down the. They were talking about Haiti and then the Wu-Tang Clan members that are being murdered, killed ritualistically. The hip hop artists, conscious rap artists, and how like they always seem to like sync up like this the time perfectly, right? Like time so perfectly. And it's like, how do they get it to the key? Like, how do they get it to the exact date, the exact point? And some of these artists are not aware of it. Some of them know that it's their time, that they had a date, they had a time to go, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we shouldn't live in a world where they kill we should live in a world where they kill people ritualistically. As for Tom Hanks, March 11th was 8 months and 2 days after his 63rd birthday on July 9th, 2019. And Seattle, Hanks, and COVID-19 each equate to 82. You also said it was Tom Hanks' 247th day of his age. And Seattle, Washington equates to 247 with reverse simple English. Keeping in mind, 2020 is the year that marked the 247th year anniversary of the banning of the Jesuits by Pope Clement. I think that was 16. On the day of July 21st, 1773, an order that was preserved with 201 Jesuits, only thanks to Catherine the Great. As you know, who now has a hit show about her that released on May 15th or 15/5 during the time of the coronavirus pandemic. And back on the subject of March 11th, it was a span of 121 days from Tom Hanks' upcoming 64th birthday. Something that is interesting for two reasons. One, coronavirus outbreak equates to 121 plus the first case confirmed on January 21st or 1/21 in Seattle, Washington. And two, sleepless in Seattle equates to 64 with Pythagorean Gematria. And the day of Tom Hanks' diagnosis, March 11th, can be written 3/11, similar to 311, the 64th prime number. Adding to the intrigue of the ritual, in the most recent film Tom Hanks had starred in prior to the pandemic beginning, he played the part of Mr. Rogers, summoning to 113 with simple English. What makes it all more significant is that the name Fred Rogers equates to 56 and 155 or 115, the same as coronavirus. And for another, the title of the film about Mr. Rogers, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, equates to 155 with reverse Pythagorean. It also sums to 151 with Pythagorean, similar to pandemic. Even the name Mr. Rogers Neighborhood sums to 142 with the with reverse with Pythagorean. Okay, with Pythagorean. Similar to how coronavirus sums to 142 with reverse simple English. Looking back, the fact that his series Mr. Rogers Neighborhood debuted February 19th, 1968, the 50th day of the infamous year where America sums to 50 with simple English, the land of 50 states and countless territories. And the same year coronavirus was coined, and the same year coronavirus, 1968. Right. We read about that. Okay. I was confused what he was saying. Looking back, the fact that his series, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, debuted February 19th, 1968, the 50th day of the infamous year where America sums to 50 with simple English, the land of 50 states and countless territories, and the same year coronavirus was coined. It must not be an accident. It reminds us of the symbolism being used as the cabal transitions us from one age to the next, and the significance of 1968 in this ongoing agenda. For another film that Tom Hanks starred in that appears to have been a clue for the coronavirus pandemic we're now living out, consider the title Larry Crown, that released on July 1st, 2011, the CDC's 65th birthday, a number corresponding with the Gematria of pandemic. In the film, Tom Hanks plays the part of Larry Crown, who was given the nickname Lance Corona. Of course, the word corona is Spanish for crown, reminding us that coronavirus was confirmed in Seattle, Washington, in Kings County, after being discovered just north of Seattle in Snohomish County, because the king wears the crown. Alright. At the same time, the title Larry Crowney equates to 145 with reverse simple, the same as Catholic. And the subname Crowny also has a gematria of 84, not unlike Jesuit, or the fact that the CDC is headquartered in Atlanta on the 84th Meridian West. With these thoughts in mind, recall what we learned earlier about the Watch the Throne album. Released on August 8, 2011, the day leaving 145 or 145 days left of the year. Once again, the symbolism is clear. Once again, the symbolism is clear. The throne, the king, the crown, or the corona. Years before Larry Crowny in 1993, the same year Sleepless in Seattle released, Tom Hanks also starred in a film, Philadelphia, where he battled the HIV virus. Recall the first case of HIV in the United States is believed to have been confirmed in 1968, the same year coronavirus was coined. What is interesting about the name of the film is Philadelphia sums to 223 with reverse simple, similar to how novel coronavirus equates to 223 with simple English. As we'll get into the chapter, as we'll get to in the chapter of predictive programming, the film 12 Monkeys, where monkey sums to 102 with simple English, is about a deadly virus being unleashed to the world for the purpose of depopulation, and it is set in Philadelphia. Let us not forget that Philadelphia is named in Revelations, summoning to 121, and reminding us of the date, January 21st, or 1/21. And to tie the 223 value with Forrest Gump's, at the end of the film, Gump's love interest dies on the date of March 22nd from an unknown virus, that is HIV, a date that can be expressed as 22/3, March 22nd. Or of course 3/22, like 322. She also dies in the year 1982, emphasized on 82, bringing us back to the COVID-19 and Seattle riddle. Do I dare mention Gump's love interest is named Jenny, summoning to 68 with simple English? What makes this last stat all the more interesting is about Robert Zemeckis, the director of Forrest Gump as well as Castaway, turned 68 years old on May 14th, 2020, during the time of the pandemic, and on Israel's 72nd birthday. Now, to get to the gold mine, out of all the films Tom Hanks has starred in it. Now, to get to the gold mine, out of all the films Tom Hanks has starred in to date, the one that stands out at the top of the pack in the terms of coronavirus predictive programming is from the Da Vinci Code series about the Illuminati, a series equating to 68 with Pythagorean, and the title is Inferno. And that title is Inferno. As we mentioned earlier, it was released on Bill Gates' 61st birthday, October 28th, 2016, and is 2 hours and 1 minute long. And is 2 hours and 1 minute in length, the same as 212 minutes, or as shown on the DVD or Blu-ray player 201. As you have learned, the number 61 is associated with God, and in this case, the first offering in the Da Vinci Code series is angels and demons, summoning to 61. Think about that title for a moment, and also keep in mind Year of the Rat equates to 61, and that when the pandemic was declared, for another reminder, also keep in mind Year of the Rat equates to 61, and that is when the pandemic was declared. For another reminder, Inferno is about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the earth with a virus not too far off from what Bill Gates said at his TED Talk in 2010, a little more than 6 years before the release of his before a little more than 6 years before the release of this film. Keep in mind, 61 is the 18th prime number, and Event 201 simulation took place October 18th, and the simulation projected an 18-month timeline where 65 million would die. It compared the coronavirus outbreak to the Spanish flu that began in 1918. As we know, IHS equates to 18, and for the record, Inferno's date of release, October 28, 2016, was 111 days after Tom Hanks' birthday, corresponding with the simple English gematria of vaccination. You could also say it was his 112th day of his age, the number corresponding with Catholic Church and the number of countries the Jesuits operate in, 112, and the date of February 11th or 11/2, the establishment of the Vatican in the year 1929. I haven't seen any of the Da Vinci Code series. I was never like a movie fan. I watch more TV, but shit. All these movies have meanings to them. This is their oh yeah. Alright. If you have not seen the Da Vinci Code series, the entire story centers around the Vatican and its secrets, a location summoning to 70, a name, excuse me. If you have not seen the Da Vinci Code series, the entire story centers around the Vatican and its secrets, a location named summoning to 70 with simple English gematria, a number that connects to the gematria of coronavirus, CARES Act, Melinda Gates, Francis, Snohomish County, and a long list of details in the ongoing coronavirus story, including the gematria of Queensland, Australia, where the boy Corona Davis lived, the boy that Tom Hanks donated his Corona typewriter to, and the same city the pandemic begins in the 2007 film Pandemic, only after a surfer named Amos, summing to 70 with reverse simple, flies from Australia to Las Vegas, to Los Angeles. And a reminder, it is extremely possible that 70 gains its relevance from the year 70 CE, when the Romans destroyed the Second Temple, Herod's Temple, that is remembered on Tisha B'Av. The greater event that destruction was a part of is recorded in history as the siege of Jerusalem, of the surge of Jerusalem, lasting from March to September of the calendar year 70, 70 CE, almost reminding us of 9/11 in September and the tribute in light of March 11th, as well as the coronavirus pandemic being declared on March 11th, 2020. For me personally, it is fair thought because right now, as I finish this book, with the last hope it reaches your hands, society as we know it is crumbling around us, like the temple and like the towers. It is happening in the snap of fingers. It is happening in the snap of fingers in historical content. And otherwise said, in new normal terms, in a flash of light that might now be scanning your head to make sure you're virus free. Coming back to the Da Vinci Code series, the name of Tom Hanks' character is Robert Langdon, summoning to 206 with reverse simple English, reminding us of Seattle area code 206 and his starring role in Sleepless Seattle. To add significance to the number, there are 206 bones in the adult human body, and this becomes all more interesting when you consider the phrase, the body is the temple. When this phrase in mind, Masonic temple sums to 206 with reverse simple English. And of course, temple summoning to 26 is a place to worship God. Summoning to 26, an entity that is different depending on the spiritual one's worships. In case of the Cabal, it is something more like the beast, real shit, corresponding with Seattle being on the 47th parallel north and corresponding with Seattle on the 47th parallel north. And as stated at the beginning of the book, they are using this code to play God. Or if not like that, or if not that, summoning the beast. And at this moment in history, their key weapon is the threat of the virus, equating to 26 and an ongoing story that has much to do with Seattle, Washington. Okay. Okay. All right. Speaking of, did I make clear that Seattle-based Amazon sums to 70 as well as 25 and was established in 1995, 25 years prior to 2020. The year Bill Gates oh, the year Bill Gates of Seattle was declared the world's richest man, only to be outdone by Jeff Bezos of Amazon, also out of Seattle. What a small world, right? What a small world, right? What a coincidence. Let us not forget Seattle is on the 122nd Meridian West and Satanic sums to 122 with reverse simple English. And don't get me started on all the dead rock stars from this city and related to those numbers. When rock sums to 47, this with simple English, the same as beast, and Seattle was the center of the rock world through much of the 1990s. Those deaths include of many. Those deaths include many, and names such as Kurt Cobain, Lainey Staley, and most recently Sean Smith, who all died on April 5th or 5/4, not unlike 54, the number that connects the Jesuit order and the sun, the latter being the object that dictates time, that is the Jesuit logo. Should I mention in Jewish Gematria, sacrifice sums to 206. And this is why on June 20th, or 20/6, the Seattle's autonomous zone, it was reported a 19-year-old. Hey, Doria. What's up? Oh shit! Shout out to the Soul fam coming through. What's up? Hope you are well. Hope you are well. Um. Sorry. Should I mention in Jewish Gematria, sacrifice sums to 206, and that is why on June 20th or 20/6 in Seattle's autonomous zone, it is reported a 19-year-old, a 19-year was shot. It was reported a 19-year, I think he said 19-year-old, was shot and killed on the same day. And in a ritual we saw coming a mile away in the 19th city. Let us not forget that the autonomous zone was established next to Seattle University, one of the nation's limited Jesuit universities, on June 8, 2020, a 6/8 date with 54 numerology. For more familiar numbers pointing straight to the Jesuits, the largest building overseeing the autonomous zone area was the Odd Fellows Temple, part of an organization that dates back to April 26, 1819, making it 201 years old at the time of the occupation. And as for the building itself, it was established in 1908, making it 1112 or 112 years old, reminding us of the 112 countries the Jesuits operate in. And 2 days after the reported killing, on June 22nd, 2020, the Seattle police announced their intentions to return to the precinct they had abandoned on June 8th, creating the autonomous zone. It was not by chance, because June 22nd, 2020 was the date with 68 numerology in Seattle, Washington, the city equating to 68, that we learned about earlier. And also, 1968 was the year the coronavirus term was coined. For your learning, that date can be expressed as 22/6, like 226 or 226, and planet sums to 226 with Jewish Gematria, and 68 with simple English. This information should shed new light on the 93 World Trade Center bombings on February 26th, a date that can be written 2/26. Of course, we know what planet is represented by the number 93, Saturn, the keeper of time. Oh. All right. On the subject of 206 and the Da Vinci Code, Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks, made his 206 posts on Instagram a memorable one. It was a video about his father and mother. There was a video about his father's and mother's coronavirus sickness, ultimately saying they were going to be okay. Keeping in mind, the Da Vinci Code series is about the Vatican and the Illuminati. It is interesting to note that his March 12, 2020 post was 221 days after Chet's August 4th birthday, or also put on his 222nd day of his age. As you'll recall, The Bavarian Illuminati sums to 221, and it was later changed to the Order of Illuminati, equating to 201, and reminding of Tom Hanks' March 17, 2020 Instagram upload with the image of his coronavirus typewriter that has been since donated to Little Corona. Was about losing his wife in gin rummy by 201 points. Furthering the point about the Illuminati, in Chet's March 12th Instagram video, he decided to talk about his parents' illnesses with his shirt off, showing that in the center of his bare chest, he had the tattoo of a pyramid with the all-seeing eye, a symbol associated with the Illuminati, and in part through the Da Vinci Code series. What the fuck? And in light of the symbolism, keep in mind Gin Rummy equates to Illuminati with simple English and Pythagorean. And better that the Da Vinci Code starring Tom Hanks released and better than that, the Da Vinci Code starring Tom Hanks released May 19th, 2006, the 139th day of the year, corresponding with the reverse Pythagorean Gematria of the Bavarian Illuminati and also the values of Freemasonry and America. It should remind you how in my first book we talk about the deaths of the soprano stars James Gandolfini and Frank Vincent, exactly 221 weeks apart, with Frank Vincent dying second on September 13th or 13/9, reminding us of the death of Tupac Shakur, also on September 13th, and having the name with a simple English value of 139 or 139. Keep in mind, James Gandolfini died in Rome, summoning to 51 with simple English at age 51, similar to how the Sopranos subs to 51 with Pythagorean Gematria, the same as Adam Weishaupt, who founded the Bavarian Illuminati on May 1st or 5/1 in 1776. And in case of Frank Vincent, he died at 78, corresponding with the Pythagorean Gematria of his full name, Frank Vincent Gastuso, as well as the word Jesuit. Also, because Chet Hanks posted on March 12th or 3/12 and were Also, because Chet Hanks' post was on March 12th or 3/12, and we're talking about riddles with the Vatican through his father's film series, you should know that George Mario Bergoglio and the name of Suite 201, Damas Sater Marine, equates to 312 or 312, as well as 201. All right. This leads us to the point about Chet Hanks' second Instagram post about his parents' sickness on March 20, 2020, the 80th day of the year, corresponding with the Pythagorean Gematria of Bavarian Illuminati, equating to 80, as well as Roman Catholic Church, equating to 320. On that day, he uploaded a response video to people accusing his family being connected to the Illuminati, a viral rumor that circulated after his shirtless March 12th offering with the all-seeing eye in the triangular front and center on his exposed chest, being the basis of the claim. In a dry tone, possibly meant to be perceived as sarcastic. Jeff Hanks and his family was part of the Jeff Hanks Chet Hanks and his family was part of the Illuminati, and long before, all their critics and all conspiracy theorists would be rounded up and put in FEMA camps amongst their remarks on the same level, before saying he needed to hurry off to participate in a human sacrifice ritual, where later that night he would be eating a person's pineal gland. What makes all of this so perfect is that Chet Hanks' birthday is August 4th, 1998, a date emphasized as 8/4, corresponding with Jesuit encoding. It also it also it's also a date with numerology of 102 and 121, numbers you've become very familiar with. And further, August 4th, 1990 was the 216th day of the year, the product of 6x6x6x, also leaving 149 days left in the year, the 35th prime, connecting back to the gematria of Catholic as well as Satan and Baphomet, each equating to 35. And in light of the Da Vinci Code series being centered on the Catholic Church and the Vatican, we should be reminded that the pandemic was declared and Tom Hanks was announced as being sick on March 11th, the 71st day of the year, connecting to Catholic, and his son responded to the diagnosis on March 12th, the 72nd day of the year, connecting to Jesuit order. Okay. Oh man, 1 hour in? That's pretty. I'm reading. I'm learning how to read faster, but like better. Reading helps me improve my reading, which I'm very happy about. All right. With regards to Illuminati and Jim Rummy summoning to 120 and what Chet Hanks was hopefully joking about, the human sacrifice meal, it should be noted that Tom Hanks' co-star in Inferno, Iran Khan, died at age 53 on April 29, 2020, the 120th day of the leap year. Regarding his age and passing, both Hanks and COVID-19 equate to 53 with simple English. Furthermore, 53 is a 16th prime number, and Inferno had released in 2016, emphasized on 16. For more familiar patterns, Khan reportedly died in Mumbai, India. Mumbai, Mumbai. I think that's Mumbai. Mumbai, India, equating to 201 with reverse simple. And also 113 days or 130 or 113 days after his January 7th birthday. This 113 stands out all the more because his character's name in Inferno, running 201 in length, is Harry Sims, summoning to 113 with simple English, further connecting the Catholic part of the Da Vinci Code series. He died 71 days before Tom Hanks' July 9th birthday, and 71 is the 20th prime, corresponding with Pythagorean Gematria of death equating to 20. If you've been following my online work for the year of 2020, you know how familiar the 71 and 20 pattern has been celebrity death. Oh yeah. Okay. On the lighter. Okay. On a lighter note, a ritual with Tom Hanks I didn't see coming, but I had to laugh about when I did, was the announcement of Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's antibodies being used to help create the coronavirus vaccine. Keep in mind, Hanks and COVID 19 equate in three out of the four base ciphers. And in light of these rituals being about time, the story of their antibodies being used by science was the top headline on April 25th, 2020, a date with 49 numerology. In headlines, Tom Hanks referred to as the Hank scene. In headlines, Tom Hanks referred to it as the Hank scene, equating to 49 with reverse Pythagorean, similar to how Revelation, as well as Washington, Scottish, and American. Even further, the news came 75 days before Tom Hanks' July 9th birthday, corresponding with Catholic Church. At the same time, it came 182 days after Rita Wilson's October 26th birthday, corresponding with what we learned about the 2007 film Pandemic, where a viral outbreak is brought to the United States via Flight 182. As a reminder, Year of the Rat equates to 182, as well as 142, the latter like coronavirus. Adding to the ritual, April 25th is the 115th day of the year in the non-leap year, and Tom Hanks sums to 115 with reverse simple English, similar to how Bill and Melinda Gates sums to 115 with reverse Pythagorean. A number that should remind us of all the first confirmed case, a number that should remind us of the first confirmed case of coronavirus in the United States, arriving at Seattle Airport January 15th or 1/15. And for the sake of time, we're going to skip Tom Hanks' movie Terminal, about being stuck in an airport, as many people have found themselves with changing flight laws between states and nations due to coronavirus. And with the 115 list in mind, let us not forget that is a number from the Jesuits and Scottish Rite motto, Ad Amorem Dei, equating to 115 that brings two fraternities together, a number that connects France, a nation the Da Vinci Code series is also set in. So, as I continue to read the book, I'm just trying to figure. I was trying to put in my mind. They do so many rituals, but if they're married, it's their birthday. Depending on their birthday and when an event happened, how many days it is between that. They have a spouse, if their spouse is included. How many days is their spouse's birthday between the event that has been posted? Also, them and their birthday, considering like I'm 25 right now, right? And say I'm 25 right now, right? And so something event happens, right? And people will say, well, it is my 25th, or it's like my 25th day, or like, how do you say it? It's like, I forget how he says, it's like your 25 day. Man, fuck, how did he be saying? He be saying, you would say it's my 25th year of my birthday or something. It's like my 25th day of my birthday. I don't know, something like that. He'd be saying that, right? And so then, of course, my name, whatever, if my name matches to some of their gematria, just based upon, look for the Jesuits, look for the Catholic Church, look for Order Out of Chaos, Illuminati, Jesuit Order, Scottish Rite, Freemasonry, Masonry. Look at those terms. Also, and it's crazy because then once you find that, you start to see other rituals that happen on the same day, but like a year later, like a year last year and a year last year before. You're like, okay. And so that's what that's what Zach's been seeing when it comes to Zach. He's able to look back because he just showed us about, because y'all know Andrew Cuomo has all these sex allegations. And so he had on his one of the websites that he just went back the year, or when something happened with Taylor Swift, the same day, and just a different ritual with a different person, but having like the same codings, right? It's just ritualistic over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But also it's a distraction because, New York, they're having more COVID-19 restrictions, right? You need this type shit to go into restaurants, flunked out shit. So that is this if they feed it, if that's for the people that feed into the fear, right? And it's crazy. I'm still learning as I go, but it's a lot. But all right. As a reminder, the motto means for the greater glory of God. And what is odd is Lucifer sums to 115 with reverse simple. The same as Masonic, but Jesus does not have, As a reminder, the motto means for the greater glory of God. And what is odd is Lucifer sums to 115 with reverse simple, the same as Masonic, but Jesus does not have this connection, despite Jesus and Lucifer both equating to 74 with simple English. Gematria. Perhaps it isn't odd in light of all the sinister agendas we're uncovering, or that the Da Vinci Code series is about these exact topics. For further proof of the relevance of the encoding of 115 in Tom Hanks and Lucifer using the same cipher, the next time you watch Forrest Gump, pay attention to the scene where he gives his Purple Heart medal from Vietnam, summoning to 84 with simple English to Jenny. You will notice that after he gives away the 5-pointed star, reminding of the nation's 5-sided War Department, the Pentagon, he does the Baphomet pose, often shown in front of the five-pointed pentagram, with two fingers pointed up, two fingers pointing down, in tribute to the phrase as above, so below, equating to 222, a number that is the number that is similar to how long the film Forrest Gump is, 2 hours long and 22 minutes. Another detail to catch in the scene is that the bus. Another scene. Another detail to catch in that scene is that the bus Jenny rides away in is heading from Washington D.C. to Berkeley in the Bay Area, where the Church of Satan was established in 1966, around the same time period as the film. The next time you watch Forrest Gump, pay pay attention when Forrest also pay attention when Gump is describing the rain in Vietnam. He describes it he describes it as if a person was in control of it. This is curious because US military admitted in the time of Vietnam to Operation Popeye, a mission that used the latest science of the time to increase rainfall on Vietnamese troops as to mean to flood out their underground tunnel networks. For whatever reason, Zemeckis decided to leave out the part of Operation Popeye in the film Forrest Gump. But he did drop a clue, as to what was really going on with the weather in a very clever dialogue. On the subject of Lucifer, there is an important point that needs to be made that connects to the Jesuits. In astrology, the planet Venus, known as the morning star, is a symbolic of Lucifer, the light bringer. And the transit of the planet Venus is said to be and the transit of Venus is said to have been first documented by the Jesuit priest Helmiska. What a name, right? For the record, Hell and Catholic both share Gematria of 71 and the 20th prime number, shedding perhaps even more light on why 2020 is the year that it's been, and not by surprise, Helmiska and Venus both equate to 54 with the base ciphers, as well as Jesuit order. And as you learned earlier, Jesuit also sums to 114. As you learned earlier, Jesuit order also sums to 144. And I bring up this because Helmiska eventually died on April 14th, 1792, a date that could be written 14/4. And also noteworthy, he died a span of 32 days from his birth, he died 32 days from his 72nd birthday. That's how they say it. Having been born May 15th, 1720. As you know, there are 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo, and Jesuit order equates to 72 as well. Also, be sure to keep in mind on this date annually, because there is typically foul play on it. Case in point, on April 14, 2020, it was reported Henry George Stanbiner the third of the Yankees, a name equating to 144, had died unexpectedly on it, 12 days after his April 2nd birthday, where 144 is the 12th Fibonacci number, and 144 has a square root of 12. Furthermore, as you learned earlier, the Society of Jesus I forgot the page. All right. Furthermore, let me read that again. Hold on, where we at? Furthermore, as you've learned earlier, the Society of Jesus and New York Yankees have quite the relationship. And since I'm bringing up baseball, I should note that Tom Hanks played the part of Jimmy Dungan in A League of Their Own, in addition to the title likely having new meanings to his name. Oh, in addition to the title likely having new meanings to you now. His character's name equates to 54 and 153, the same as Jesuit order. God damn, like Tom Hanks has so much predictive programming, acting roles, and the actors, all the actors, I guess. All the Hollywood, all them niggas. all of them. Yeah, oh my gosh. And so I feel eventually all these actors will be killed off, like in our Matrix, and either not die but get a new life and be, well, some of them are already, they say, replaced and cloned, and so there's somebody else now, whatever, somebody else is living out their life. So they could be already dead in sense, and just some other people are playing them in their bodies. But it's really fucked up, right? They do all this shit, and then they're rewarded with another life after all the fuckery they did, right? All right, where we at? As for science, all right. As for science. It's like what Uriel says, they're in a water fountain line, right? And getting up out of here. In a water fountain line, getting up out of here, and we gotta wait our turn. Fuck that shit. Right. As for science and the tracking of the celestial bodies, Tom Hanks also starred in Last Moon, the perilous voyage of Apollo 13, a title summoning to 201 with reverse Pythagorean. At the same time, the word Apollo sums to 201 alone using Jewish Gematria, reminding us that those missions involved the moon landing, which they never went, July 20, 1969, the 201st day of the Gregorian year. I bring this up because John Krasinski of The Office also posed with a Corona typewriter during the time of the pandemic, similar to Hanks, who posted an image of his Corona with a message about gin rummy, and losing by 201 points. In light of the number 201, consider the hit show Krasinski starred in, The Office lasted 201 episodes, and clearly not by accident. That is because there is a Jesuit school in town, Scanston Preparatory School, summoning to 329, similar to the date March 29th or 3/29, the date John Krasinski posed with a typewriter while launching his new news program, Some Good News, SGN. And to bring it back to the Apollo missions, Glenn Looney, and a NASA astronaut, was one of the original employees of NASA and one of the first scientists to work on the Apollo missions, and was a graduate of Scanston Preparatory School. And do I dare say Scanston sums to 112, reminding you of the number of countries the Jesuits operate in? Yeah. The other celebrity who was caught red-handed with the corona typewriter was Madonna. In her case, the typewriter was part of her artwork for Madame X, released June 14, 2019, on Donald Trump's 73rd birthday and the U.S. flag's 242nd birthday. And keep in mind, the release date was a span of 22 days, or 222 days after January 21st, 2020, when the first case of the virus was confirmed in the United States. And as you know, Wuhan coronavirus equates to 222. Adding to the ritual on March 9th or 9/3, similar to 93, also connecting to Wuhan coronavirus, Madonna canceled her March 10th and 11th performance in Paris, France, the original home of the Jesuits. Notice the second show was to fall on the pandemic date declared, and fitting Madame X also equates to 38, same as pandemic. Then on May 1st, 2020, the anniversary of the establishment of the Bavarian Illuminati, on the date with 46 numerology, Madonna announced she had the antibodies to counteract. She had the antibodies to counteract the virus. And in light of the Bavarian Illuminati equating to 221, I should note that from the release of her album to the confirmation of the virus in U.S. was also 221 days. Latter, as opposed to the span of 222 or 222. Where we at? Perhaps. Okay, perhaps. Oh. Almost done. Perhaps the most important ritual Madonna participated in, however, in the lead up to coronavirus pandemic, was her performance on the 64th Eurovision in Israel that began on May 14, 2019, on Israel's birthday. Keep in mind, Israel sums to 64 with Hebrew and English Gematria, and Zion sums to 64 just the same. Never mind that on the exact same day, May 14th, the NBA had the Zion Williams sweepstakes, where Zion Williams sums to 74 with Pythagorean, and it was the first major event for the upcoming 74th NBA season. As for the predicted programming in the Eurovision performance, Madonna's backup singers were wearing gas masks and collapsed throughout the performance, almost as if they had died. Damn. In one section, Madonna hovers over a fallen dancer and says, "It's not out there, it's in all of us." In light of the way millions in light of the way millions have tested positive for coronavirus, despite being asymptomatic, it makes me wonder. I highly suggest you take the time to watch the performance. You'll notice she's wearing the same costume with the patch over her left eye that she is clothed in the Madame X album. And with that, let us not overlook the Illuminati, well known one eye symbolism, or that Madonna has a song titled Illuminati. That's funny. When you get a moment, be sure to look up the lyrics. Regarding Madonna, let us not forget in recent history, Aretha Franklin had died on her birthday, August 16, 2018. This matters because Queen sums to 62, and with simple English, same as Madonna, and Aretha was considered the Queen of Soul. Adding to the ritual, 4 days after Aretha's death, Madonna was chosen to speak at the MTV Video Music Awards about the death of Aretha. In her speech, she told the story of how her personal music career began with in $35 in her pocket. No doubt a tribute to Satan. Considered Elvis Presley, who died on the same day as Aretha Franklin, years earlier, was born in 1935. And when he passed, Aretha was 35 years old at the same time. Damn. But you see how they all you know, they all tie back to one another? And you don't even have to they all tie back to each other in any way, shape, or form. But it doesn't mean that's true. And that's the thing. They are scripting their matrix system with their codes to play God, right? And to be the prophets or whatever. They're scripting their codes in the way they want it. But most of the stuff, we don't even know half this shit is true, right? We don't even know half this shit is true, because how can it be true if they're scripting it and then they're performing rituals behind it? Because they want it to be true, right? But it is in a way they are doing it, but we don't even know half these people are dead, but we think that they're dead, right? Based upon what they tell us, right, in their scripting. They're really good at it too. Good magicians and satanic worshipers, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to call these people, reptilians, whatever you want to call them, the beast, whatever you want to call them. Oh shit, my bad. Consider Elvis Presley, who died on the same day as Aretha Franklin, years earlier, was born in 1935. And when he passed, Aretha was 35 years old at the time. It is to say that these people are owned and operated by the cabal, and the rituals they participate in are exact and dark. Speaking of dark, Idris Uba became the first black celebrity to be diagnosed with the virus. And one day after his diagnosis, asked the black people of the world not to spread conspiracy theories about the coronavirus. What? What an idiot. Not by chance, the news of his diagnosis on March 16, 2020, a date with 59 numerology, and the 76th day of the leap year. This matters because each of the following words sums to 59 with simple English and 76 with the reverse simple. They include Udrus, slave, Negro, Rasta, and blues. All right. Let us not forget Acts 7:6 and the 400-year prophecy that landed on August 20th, 2019, or that the Million Man March took place October 16th, 1995, the day leaving 76 days in the year, or that Black History Month ends on the 49th day of the year. Or that Motown Records was established in 1959. Let us not overlook that Idris Uba was 47 years old at the time of this ritual, the number that defines time. All in all, there were several celebrities from the world of entertainment, media, and politics who came down with the virus by the numbers, even jailed movie producer Harvey Weinstein. The news of his illness came on the infamous day of March 22 to 2020, the 82nd day of the year, corresponding with the Gematria of COVID-19, as well as Harvey Weinstein, both equating to 82. Adding to the riddle, he was 68 years old at the time, corresponding with the Gematria of Wuhan, rape, and guilty. And the date of March 22nd, or 3/22, also reminds us of a bit of another Jewish pervert, Jeffrey Howard Epstein, summoning to 322 with reverse simple English. Furthermore, his name, Jeffrey Epstein, subs to 163, the 38th crime, and he reportedly died in jail on Tish B'Av, August 10th, 2019, 163 days prior to his upcoming January 2019 birthday, a date that can be written 20/1. And if you think I'm reaching, look up the news story from July 19, 2020, the 201st day of the year, the 201st day of the leap year. A restaurant owner burning the table where Epstein and Weinstein used to eat together. The name of the restaurant that received the attention was Main 75. Of course, the number 75 reminds us of the New York Times headlines from October 6, 1940, a date with 75 numerology, reading New World Order pledge to Jews. As you know, New World Order and Catholic Church equate to 75. The latter entity being the one doing the pledging in the headline. And the same time, Jeffrey equates to 75. So you don't need to ask who backed either of these high-profile perverts. Okay, awesome. Also on the date of March 22nd, Rand Paul became the first U.S. senator to test positive for the virus. This was fitting date for him because it can be expressed 2/3, similar to 223, the 48th crime. And the name Rand Paul equates to 48 with reverse Pythagorean. And let us not forget that novel coronavirus sums to 223 with simple English. At the same time, Senator Paul equates to 142 and 155, the same as coronavirus, making him perfect for the ritual. Furthermore, his title, Senator Paul, also sums to 43 and 65, the same as pandemic. This fits in with the fact that he represents Kentucky, a summoning state, to 43 as well. For another 82 riddle with the virus, Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, equating to 82 with simple English, as well as 19 with Pythagorean, became the first member of the NFL to be diagnosed with COVID 19. That was on March 19th, 2020, his 82nd day of being 56 years old. Okay, that's what they do. So it would be like my his 82nd day of being 56-year old. I forget what June 6th, what date of the Gregorian. Let me see something. I don't know how. June 6th is the 150. June 6th is the 157th day. 157th day of the year, right? Shout out to you, girl. All right. For another 82 riddle with the virus, Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, equated to 82 with simple English as well as 19 with Pythagorean, became the first member of the NFL to be diagnosed with COVID 19. That was on March 19th, 2020. His 82nd day of being 52nd. His 82nd day of being 56 years old. Okay, so pretty much what he did. So the time of the event, right, to his birthday was that's what he had counted. Okay. Because these are the riddles. I'm trying to find how they're doing the rituals. So from the event that he was confirmed, which March 19th, to his birthday, I'm guessing, his 82nd day of being 56 years old. Let's see when Sean, because I just got to let's see when Sean Payton's birthday is. Oh, there it is. His birthday is December 29th. And so there's this thing called, there's a website called, come on now, website called timeanddate.com. Let me see if I can do this. So from his birthday is December 29th. December 29th, 1963. Till what he had posted, right? That date was March 2020. Come on. March 19th. Let's see if I can do it. March 19th, 2020. 2020. Okay. Calculate duration. fuck? Or we should just do 2020 then? 2020 then? I'm trying to figure out how he got the 82. I don't know yet. I'm still learning how he got it. I gotta watch him a little bit more. But anyways. All right. So Sean Payton became the first member in the NFL to be diagnosed with COVID-19. That was on March 19, 2020, his 82nd day of being 56 years old. Oh, so from his birthday to that day was 82, and he was 56 years old at the time. Oh, I see what he did. Okay. All right. Of course, coronavirus comes to 56. Not long after Tom Dempsey, who wore number 19 for the Saints, would reportedly died from the virus on April 4th or 4/4. This was 83 days after Dempsey's January 12th, 2020 birthday, and both football and murder equate to 83. While we're at it, please look up the lyrics to the song Murder by Numbers, recorded in 1983 by the band The Police. Again, this is about how killing is a sport of the elite. Jeez. Again, this is about how killing is the sport of the elite. Damn. They be killing niggas for fun. That's fucked up. And it's a sport to them. It's like ritualistically clockwork. That's why I'm like, damn. Some of these great athletes, because who did they take out? Kobe? Ain't nobody safe. They took out Kobe. Ain't no one safe unless you fucking a robot like LeBron James, maybe. Because we're not sure if LeBron James, Steph Curry, all these niggas that are really phenomenal, we're not sure if these niggas is actually real. We'll see if they die in their later years. But they killed Kobe. You know that. And his daughter. I mean, unless they're somewhere on an island, right? Nah, I don't know about that. But this is their sport. So some of these, obviously, these athletes, I feel like even if they don't say anything, they still, they can be like, man, we're gonna go ahead and kill you by the numbers just because, we like to do this shit. And just to see if you're beloved by many, they can harness a lot of energy. And that's fucked up, right? It's a sport. Fuck. Let me just read that again. While we're at it, please look up the lyrics to the song Murder by Numbers, recorded in 1983 by The Police. Again, it is about how killing is the sport of the elite, and it is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. As you have learned, Dempsey's date of death 4/4 corresponds with the 44 Gematria values of kill execution. And in this case, Saints also sums to 44 with reverse Pythagorean. If you want to take it further, you could say he died on his 84th day of his age, and the divisors of 44 is 82. Of 44 sums to 82. The latter being a favorite number of the Jesuits. In regards to the JO, New Orleans sums to 54, the same as Jesuit order. Beyond that, his full name, Thomas John Dempsey, equates to Wuhan coronavirus, both summing to 78 and 210. Take it another step further, the name Dempsey alone sums to 102, a number that we have learned much about in this chapter. And also remember, like we were saying, like some of these athletes may know, like, hey, this is actually where we're gonna go ahead and kill you. So have fun. Until then, even the celebrities, I mean, the people that are in that worship Satan, I guess, they were like, okay, we're gonna kill you this day, okay? So just remember, don't forget, we're gonna kill you after all the shit you done for us. We appreciate your efforts. We're gonna kill you on this day, because that's the ritual. We may need you to sacrifice people along the way. If you have no problem doing that, great. And they're on a water fountain line up out of here, right? And I feel like that's what they're getting. I feel like that's what they're gaining. They're in a water fountain line. Shout out to Uriel to leave here, to leave this realm while we're waiting in line. But quote unquote. But yeah, I kind of feel like that's what it is. Like that they're they get chosen to be the puppet, to be the face, like Messi. Like, I don't know, he probably will get murdered soon. I mean, no, excuse me. I'm not saying he'll get. I feel like he's a real big face, and they use him a lot. And a lot of all y'all our favorite celebrity actors. Like I said, if they caught Kobe, Ronaldo, and all y'all niggas need to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you don't say shit, and if you do say shit, nigga, your time is up. Yo, clock is ticking. But I feel like they know that, and then it's like, okay. So then we got, all right. So this is, if you kill me, I'm gonna be able to get into the next round. This is my key to be able to go, get up out of here. And I'm thinking that's what happened. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? While we are here on Earth. But, I could be wrong. Anyways, personally, one of my favorite coronavirus diagnosis ritual was when the 56th governor of New York, Jesuit-educated Andrew Cuomo, announced that the head of New York Port Authority, Rick Cotton, had come down with the coronavirus. This is funny for multiple reasons, including the fact that coronavirus and Rick Cotton sum to 142 with reverse simple English. And in Cuomo's same statement on March 9, 2020, he said New York had reached 142 total confirmed cases. Keep in mind, March 9th can be expressed as 3/9, similar to 39. I've always referred to New York as the 39th state, similar to how all the following words and acronyms sum to 39 using the base cipher. There are New York, Empire, New York, NY, and NYC. Adding to the list, New York joined the United States of America on July 26, 1788, a date with 39 numerology. And the first governor was George Clinton, born July 26, 1739, a man having a first and last name equating to 39, George and Clinton. Beyond that, New York is home to the 39 stories United Nations buildings, and it is the same state that hosted the 1939 World Fair. From this day forward, you'll notice how significant the number is in that state. You'll notice how significant the number is to that state in ritual after ritual. For example, it wasn't an accident in 2018 when ESPN stated a 39-day countdown for example, it wasn't an accident in 2018 when ESPN started a 39-day countdown for moving their first take to New York. The countdown began on July 26, 2018. The anniversary of New York joining the Union counted down the date of the first show in the Big Apple, September 3rd, a date that can be expressed as 3/9, not unlike 39. Trust me, when it comes to New York, these rituals are a dime a dozen, and you won't miss them going forward. If you like to do some investigating of your own, put your own skills to the test. Look up, look into the 5 NFL Super Bowls won by the state, 4 by the Giants, and 1 by the Jets. I'm a New York Giants fan, so it's crazy. You'll notice every single one was paid tribute to the number 39, and it is for the same reason the Vegas line is currently set at 39.5 points for the upcoming Week 1 matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. September 13th, 2020. Two teams from New York, and it is for the same reason the Vegas lines is currently set at 39.5 points for the upcoming Week 1 matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets, September 13, 2020. Two teams from New York. Even better, as I send this book off to the press, the New York Yankees and the New York Mets have just faced each other in the MLB preseason. July 18, 2020, after 128 or 128 days coronavirus break. And the Mets have lost to the Yankees 3-9. Better yet, the Yankees have improved to 12-8 in the preseason. And they out-hit the Mets 12-8 in that game. And put the cherry on top, New York Yankees equate to 187 and 191, the same as Society of Jesus, and 187 corresponds perfectly with the date of the game, July 18th or 18/7, like 187. Cracking these codes. Once I learn these codes, I'm gonna start betting on football matches for sure. But we need to cash in. It's time to cash in on these rituals for sure. And I know that's not the only reason I wanted to learn it, but it was a very good incentive. These rituals weren't just taking place with the Yankees in the United States, however, across the Atlantic. Similar things are transpiring. For example, just the case of Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who I prefer to call bad barbershop brother number 2, as opposed to Donald Trump, who is number 1. All jokes aside, Johnson was reported to have been sent to the ICU on April 6, 2020, to receive treatment for the virus. Not by chance, this was his 293rd day of his age, born June 19, and the term coronavirus pandemic sums to 293 with reverse simple English. Furthermore, the date of April 6 was 74 days prior to his upcoming 56th birthday on June 19, 2020. And we know how they like to bring 74 and 33 together, such as London and England. In this case, ICU sums to 33 with simple English. Let us not forget that Boris Johnson became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on July 24th, 2019, exactly 158 weeks after Theresa May took office on July 13th, 2016. And both Boris Johnson as well as Freemasonry equate to 158 with reverse simple. with reverse simple English, reminding us that the Jesuits were the first formed in Paris on March on okay, first formed in the Jesuits were first formed in Paris on August 15th or 15/8 in the year of 1534. To go further, let us not forget that Burrux sums to 78, like Jesuit, and it was the order out of chaos event that triggered the prime minister's terms for both Theresa May and Boris Johnson. With politics on the brain, and to come back to the man we began with, Tom Hanks is reported to be an ancestor of Abraham Lincoln. This was brought attention to in September of 2012 by mainstream press, while Hanks was 56 years old. Of course, Barack Obama was the recent U.S. president who represented the land of Lincoln and who won the 56th U.S. presidential election. And one wonders if it was an accident that Barack Obama hosted both Tom Hanks and Bill Gates on the same night to honor them with the Medal of Freedom, summoning to 68 in Pythagorean, that infamous number that connects Barack Obama and Seattle, Washington. The latter being the city that brings Tom Hanks and Bill Gates together. This was done on November 22nd, 2016, the 53rd anniversary of the JFK assassination. Tying in Hanks equates to 53 and COVID-19, and the former company of Gates, Microsoft, each equating with the base ciphers. It was also a date that came precisely 165 weeks or 165 weeks before coronavirus was confirmed in the United States of America. As you recall, JFK was killed in Dingley Plaza, named after the Scottish Rite Freemason, and Scottish Rite equates to 165. Scottish Rite also equates to 78, like Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, and 57, like Bill Gates. Let us not forget the medal ceremony was in Washington, D.C., summoning to 137 with simple English on Tom Hanks' 137th day of his age. The same city that has North America headquarters for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The exactness reminds that when Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's returned to the United States from the coronavirus quarantine on March 28th, it was 263 days after Tom Hanks' birthday, the 56th prime, and 155 days after Rita Wilson having been born October 26, 1956. As you know, coronavirus equals to 56 and 155, and so does Freemasons. In total, it should make you wonder, were these two married for the planned ritual on April 30th, 1988, with the event planned outcome 32 years later, reminding of the number of the sun rays of the Jesuit logo? Let us not forget that America and Scottish also sung to 32 with Pythagorean. After all, the wedding was 70 days before Tom Hanks' birthday, and coronavirus equates to 70, the same as Vatican, the entity overseeing the outbreak. If you ask me, the detail of their wedding parallels the fact that Bill and Melinda Gates were married on the first day of 1994. As we know, Roman Catholic Church equates to 94. As we conclude this chapter, please note that across the world and throughout mainstream headlines, there are hundreds of other celebrity coronavirus diagnoses and death rituals by the same repetitive patterns we have already identified. If you want to apply what you have learned and investigate other related stories, it will be a great way for you to practice and develop your decoding skills. And I promise you will not be disappointed by what you find, but you will, but you might be disgusted. Just keep in mind, we're exposing disgusting people. And when enough people are helping, there will be justice. So thank you, True Seeker, for being part of this cause and being willing to take on this darkness because it means everything. All right. And that is the conclusion of chapter 12. I'm learning so much, y'all. I'm learning so much. So I thank you as well for rocking with your girl. I'm reading the book. Everyone that gets to see the replay, everyone that's been following along, you are appreciated as always. Shout out to everyone. We're in this together. You know what I'm saying? And yes, these people are evil. Evil. But what happens when good people do nothing? The evilness fills the world. So luckily, there are good people out here. Zach, myself, Soul Group. Shout out to Esoteric Cloud Surfer. Shout out to Daria. Shout out to the whole Soul Group. Everyone that is continuing to help in any way, shape, or form you can by spreading the truth. Your whatever truth it is. Thank you. You are appreciated. We're attacking them in all shapes and forms, seen and unseen. And we'll continue because we can't just bury our dick and pussy in the dirt and give up. Okay, period, point blank. Remember to trust your individuality. Because your spirituality is your individuality. Be an individual, trust that shit, and continue to be grateful and be satisfied for the life you do have, and just continue to become more aware of yourself because you are the greatest book that's ever been written. All right. So with that being said, tomorrow we got some football for us, and we gonna vibe out and have fun, parlay. But until next time, I'm your girl Anita flying high, and I'm flying out of here. All right, deuces.